What is up, Dragon Ballers, and welcome to episode 2 of Thoughts with Fashbinder. I'm here with David. How you doing, David?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Yep, I'm doing fantastic. Today is banlist day, so we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, and it's going to be great to get your thoughts on some of the changes to the game.
Wait, yeah. there was a ban list today?
Oh, apparently so.
First I've heard of it.
Well, so basically we'll go through the ban list. There's a limit list, a very short limit list, and an errata list. So let's get to it, and then we've got some other things to talk about. The competitive play that's coming up regarding the new changes and stuff. So
yeah.
All right. So first off, we'll start with the bans. Heartfelt Plea. Right. What's the main reasoning for this ban then, David?
I mean, anytime a card's on the limited list, it's basically like one gasp away from getting banned. I think the fact that this card has seen a resurgence in its popularity, especially due to like the new Pan deck, and then just the overall power level of cards, it's so much easier to pull off the play condition.
Yeah.
For this card, it made sense.
That's meant to be very difficult to pull off, I guess. It's
very difficult, or at least more difficult than it is now.
Yeah.
And you've seen that a couple of changes, and we'll get to the other ones later, are because of the raw power level of cards has gotten higher with Zenkai series.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So this is one that was a long time coming, and the new power level of the cards definitely pushed this one over the top.
All right. Cool. So yeah, it's gone now. It was limited to one, but now it is no more. So rest in peace, Heartfelt Plea. Next card, the new ruler. So
yeah, another one.
What are your thoughts on this one? I've got some thoughts.
Another
on this
one
card.
that I think has been a long time coming.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Honestly, it probably would have been banned when it was limited if it wasn't a prize card. In that immediately released pack with Bergamo and the SS4 Goku Xeno and this card.
So they literally they held it for that sake, basically.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that happen a couple of. I mean, I'm assuming that's what it was. We've seen it happen a couple of times in the game's history, right? Where cards have been limited as opposed to getting banned if it's coming out in prizing. And I think, it's a tough balance, right? It's one of those things where if only this was a digital card game, then it would be so much easier. Oh, patch, push through the hotfix, as opposed to needing to deal with physical things that exist in the world. But look, this card's really strong. It always has been. It's essentially like a bonus overrealm that's just for red.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And condition on the free play is pretty easy.
Can't
build
be
your deck
blocked
around
over.
it.
So you drop a
can't block over it. Double striker. Even have weird ways that you can get it to stay in play through like skill negation and stuff. So another one where sorry, see ya, King Piccolo.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed this card, to be honest. Whenever I played red, it's just that extra layer of hatred, that you can. I mean, a lot of players are going to love to see the back of this card, and understandably why, because red doesn't really need a free play double striker anymore. I don't think it has enough things like that. So.
And a 20k at least. At least make it a little guy. But...
Yeah. All right, so that's all that's banned, guys, for now. Just 2 cards. There will be more changes coming on the horizon, but let's see the next card. The next card is the only limit card, and that is Merciless Barrage. So we've got a trend here of red cards.
You're noticing a trend for sure.
Yeah.
This card, my take on it is could have gone either way. I think maybe you could have left it alone. Maybe you could have limited it. Definitely didn't need a ban. I think that, it's a really good card, obviously. Some people talked about the new ruling, which is not a new ruling, but it's newly discussed, where how it can interfere with Patara fusions.
Yeah, so
the deck coming out.
The minus damage carries over to the Patara.
And again, it's a new revelation, but it's definitely not a new ruling.
No.
And yes, then the power carrying over as well. So I just think it's one of those universally used red cards, and if we're trying to get the power level of red down, why not?
So
easy low risk change.
So if from the perspective of other players who say play red, they would wonder why other free negates, free counters have been not removed. Like, I don't know, charismatic villain, for example. And I'm not saying I want the charismatic banned, but why
you have to look at it in a vacuum. Cards like, if red's identity is about being aggro, and stuff like that, then giving them all these tools, like the other ones that we're going to be discussing soon, in addition to this free counterplay that becomes a body on the board, is that too much? Whereas green, with charismatic villain, I mean, good lord, the green needs everything they could get, right?
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Sorry, green players, I wasn't trying to. I'm sure
if green was in, I'm sure if green was in the same situation as red, right now, then we'd probably be having that conversation about
absolutely
a charismatic villain. But we're not there. And these changes are.
So you think you think this for this card in particular, it's not the free play factor; it's more of just a red factor.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I mean, that's my take anyway.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah. All right, so the next card. This has been as long as it can time coming, I believe, with an errata change. But yeah, we have the Senzu Bean. It has been changed, guys. So, do you want to explain what the change is?
But I'll pour one out here. Look, Bean has been one of the games, if not the most iconic card in the game since it's come out. I think that people have already seen. I got a lot of messages this past week since the Gohan Superhero Leader was released. Like, oh my god, are they going to do something with Bean? I've been playing this card a lot, and Bean just takes it over the top. I mean, I've been messing with a Vegito build for a while with the new anniversary Vegito. That
me too, actually.
To new disgusting stuff. I really think that lots of positives to this change. I think that one, you balance out decks that probably shouldn't be extending their plays, like that. Two, you even shorten turns because you're not going to have as much sequencing going on. You don't have as many play lines to think about as you're playing. So from a tournament and match time aspect, it's a good change. And it's still a powerful defensive tool for blue.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And being able to, get that bigger butt on your character that's defending and hold off a go wide deck or something like that, it's big. Yeah. So
I mean, a lot of people have splashed it into their decks too. Some defensively, but a lot of the time it's used in aggro decks, isn't it? Like a blue package and stuff. So a lot of the game. It's a big change, really, in reality.
Yeah, big change. My deck I was going to use tonight for locals, I had to make some changes because Senzu's out of it now. It's an aggro deck. Yeah. But I think overall healthy. I think that it now also leaves room for the future where if they wanted to introduce another blue aggro extending a turn type card, they can do that in a more sensible way because they'll be able to design it with the sensitivities that it'll require for today's game.
Yeah.
So
from what I understand, the new Gohan deck, people were able to attack 10 to 12 times on turn 2 or something stupid.
I think that's a really good example of where the initial response belies the strength of the deck underneath.
Yeah, of course.
The initial response on social media was very from lukewarm to disappointed regarding that Gohan deck. But now you've seen that people all of a sudden
sussed it out.
They're looking at it for their finals deck here in the States. And,
that's madness.
The deck is strong and can really do a lot. So.
Maybe the Senzu being changed will be a factor in helping.
I mean, how could it not? If you were testing it with Bean, it's never going to feel as good again.
No, of course not. It's going to be like the forbidden fruit.
But that's the reality. Yep.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love the Senzu Bean card. really great. I still think it's a really great card, even with the errata, because defensively, like you said when we were having previous conversations, the general level of power has risen with the new set. So, I mean, I think it's just helpful to have that free extra 5k when you're being swung into 20k on the regular anyway. So,
yep, absolutely.
But yeah, for an aggro deck, it's no more. Okay, so going for another big one here, and this one I'm honestly I'm not completely convinced by, but we'll get your thoughts on it, David, and see what we think. Violent Rays.
Yeah. This one was
Violent.
One was interesting.
So
this one was interesting. I think that
So just so you know, guys, basically they've raised it to 30k power on the Unison as well, which I don't think there is a 30k Unison in the game, but there you go. Maybe there will be, even though they're trying to phase them out.
I think that the 30k on the Unisons was probably just for simplicity.
Yeah.
You know, they're very loath to do errata.
Yeah.
So that's something that really surprised me, was how many erratas were on this update, because they're usually very anti-errata, and they would much rather ban or limit.
And then just create a new card in its place, I guess.
Yeah, I think that with Violent Rays, in a perfect world, I agree. I would have maybe left the Unison alone, and increased the battle card power, because again, this one is the epitome of what I mentioned earlier, where it went from being a tech card that stopped, the tall deck strategies like Dark Broly and Gogeta Xeno, when those were big decks, to essentially being a stop all, to being almost a baby hatch, versus a lot of strategies that are out now in Zenkai series.
That's fair to say.
I think so this card, I like what they did with it. I agree, in a perfect world, 30k on the battle card, 20k on the Unison. But for simplicity's sake, I'm willing to ignore that and say, I'd rather it be the way it is right now than be banned.
No. That's fair enough. I mean, for me, my qualm with it is that red as a color, in the grand scheme, isn't actually that powerful. And this card was holding a lot of rogue decks together. For example, the one you played with me. The Violent Rays are obviously very important for that deck to even have a chance in the modern game. And I feel
one of those things where they can maybe make more cards in the future that fill that void. Yeah. But this one was
it was just
very, very powerful, and there was no good way to handle it overall, in the sense of making everybody happy, right? Because I saw today on social media Sin Shenron players complaining that now how do I stop other Sin Shenron decks? And it's like, well, that's really the impossible situation, right?
You both just swing into each other now and hope for the best.
Yeah, well, and the fact that is just your best defensive tool in your deck against your deck. I'm sorry, but that just creates a power vacuum, and
absolutely
get done.
No, I think honestly it's a fair one, and it's to be quite honest, I think it's absolutely fair, because like you say, it has a baby hatch effect on some decks, and red's meant to be the aggro deck, so it shouldn't have the utility of blue as well as the power it does,
being able to leave, it's only one energy too, compared to a Topo or anything like
obviously
that.
Obviously you do have to discard, but like you say, Topo's 2 energy. Maybe Topo will have a bit of a resurgence potentially, because there'll be a lot more floodgating again now with the but we'll talk about that in a second, because I'll switch the card. And this guy, Resolve Renewed Vegeta. So this is a card, another red card. We did have one blue card, guys, so it's not just red. Sorry, red only players. But yeah, this card is a nuisance to any floodgate under 15k. So what do you think? Do you think it's the right decision to get rid? This is errated, guys. It's locked to Vegito, which David just said he was making Vegeta. Actually, you know, maybe he put in his. He was like, guys, just don't ban it. Just look into the leader.
Well, I don't think this card would have seen a ban, in my opinion. I think that using it to sort of force a little diversity in the meta was the right call. Now you guys might be laughing, but Vegito, how's that diverse? Well, at least it's a third big red deck as opposed to just two.
Yeah.
and while that's not ideal for diversity, more diversity in any way, shape, or form is always going to be better for a meta.
I mean, with Vegeta, I just tell people, well, I play all 5 colors in the deck, so you know, it's just because the leader's red doesn't mean it's a red deck.
Yeah.
No one can complain if I play every color.
That's right. So I think it's fine. I think this is another one of those things where it's cute, it works, and you know, maybe they'll make another color Vegito leader sometime soon.
I mean, there is the card actually, guys. If you were looking for some kind of replacement, there is Begrudging Allies from the new set, which is, I believe, when you're at 4 or less life, it's slightly different because it's a 3 or less card, but that would hit a lot of the same targets that this card hits. So that basically sends it to the warp instead of being played.
Too,
so.
Like if you were really going after like 10Ks or 5Ks, that red actually has a lot of tools in their toolbox.
Yeah.
To hit those cards already.
Yeah, the shoe is one. 4 or 5
but again, this kind of goes into the same category as Violent Rays, where at 1 energy, it was just too good and versatile of a tool, especially since it wasn't leader locked at all. So I'm a fan of the change.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's still a great card for anyone that plays Vegito. So so we have a couple more on the errata lists. Next one is Beerus the Visitor. I believe we've spoken about this card before. You weren't too keen on the interaction. Do you want to explain to people what was going on with this card?
Sure. Due to the unique way it was worded, once you met the condition of not being able to place any cards into your energy, you would be able to use the activate main paying a blue to essentially draw a card. And since this card cannot be placed in your energy, it will just stay in your hand. It wasn't ever being forced to leave your hand, go to the drop, anything like that. So they changed the wording now, where the card must enter your energy if you're going to draw a card. So if you're still trying to play the ramp deck, the reboot Goku there that ramps, then great, it still works for you, congratulations. But no more tap 6, draw 6. Sorry. I think everyone should have known that probably wasn't going to last. Much longer.
I mean, that seemed like an incredibly broken interaction, and if you were lucky enough to have the Goku secret rare from the new set, you'd be able to restand all your energy, then draw another 8 or whatever. So yeah, it's a silly card, but no, it makes total sense, and I think especially with the finals coming up, it's definitely something that needed to go, really. And we're on to one last card, a card that a lot of blue players hate. It is the Crown of Retribution. So basically, what have they done to this card now? So
there was a lot of debate in the community around what to do with this card, right? For the most part,
yeah. You must have seen the rumor mill where people were saying, "Oh, it's free now instead of 2." Look at the really pixelated picture.
Yeah. Well, that was a bit silly. But
a lot of people were convinced.
I think that with this card, everyone knew something needed to be done. It was just a question of what. I think the change they made was pretty fair. You know, it's a very powerful card, but at least when you're paying an energy for it, couple of things. One, it can be counterplayed. You know, and you're at least out the energy. Your opponent's not being forced to overextend to counterplay, and you're just getting off scot-free. You know, you are trading 1 energy for 1 card, which again is really powerful, and the look at the opponent's hand, of course. It just levels the playing field. It means that if you're going to run this card, that you've got to commit to it and commit the energy.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely fair. You know, the free play element of the Gogeta Unison and Leader just made this card too broken, really, because that the last thing that deck needed was a free look at hand and discard a card. So, but no,
because you know, depending on the effect, if you didn't have to reveal the card you were going to play, as part of the effect, you know, you could wait for them to counterplay, expecting it to be something else,
and then play nothing.
Yeah. You know, so it was very, very powerful. Too powerful, too oppressive. You know, when cards like this cross the color wheel, players are very sensitive to that, meaning that this effect kind of does something that you would see in a green or a black deck.
Yeah.
More, sure. And it being in the most powerful color right now, it definitely, I know, touches a nerve for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a little bit controversial. I mean, I that's something I always say about the card. Like, I think it's too powerful in red, but if it was in green, it would be absolutely like. I mean, it makes sense. Broly is traditionally a very green character. Mm-hmm. So I mean, maybe they should have just errated it to be green.
Imagine that.
That would be funny.
And being that it was a prize card for nationals,
there you go.
For finals this year, and with how valuable those prize cards are going to be, in my opinion, because the way they're being distributed, I think that Bandai didn't want to disband it.
No, of course. I mean, yeah, I agree with the errata. I think you have to be kind of responsible for the. You know, if you want to play it, you gotta pay the toll. In my opinion, it's too strong just to have for free. But yeah, so that's pretty much all of the list. So, spoken to a bit of the community, and I've just got a few ones that people, you know, there's obviously everyone's got their own ideas of what should happen and shouldn't happen. But a few random cards to get your thoughts on. How come 6-drop Vegeta didn't get some kind of limit? Because that card seems extremely potent with all the ramp and the SS3 and everything. What do you think that card got overlooked for?
I think that a couple of things. One, the fact that that card still doesn't have protection. It's very strong, there's no question.
Yeah.
But no deflect, no barrier makes it less of a no-brainer as a problem. Because there's always going to appear to be answers that you could play.
Yeah.
You know, to deal with it. Two, the results just haven't been there. I mean, yes, blue has been right behind red, but if you look at the numbers in the card pool, blue has not reached that eponymous, like, holy crap.
Are you saying, so you're saying it's more sort of individual players that are getting up there rather than, you know, this is like a sea of red with a few drops of blue?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, when I've had conversations with Bandai, and whenever anybody's evaluating this, you can't necessarily look at who's winning. You have to look at the makeup of the top cut and kind of use that to determine it. Because just like in professional sports, once you make it, a lot can happen. You know, so it's really representative. You know, we say, oh, what was the top 16? What was the top 32? What was the top 8? We don't necessarily say, well, what won? Because you could have one of the best players in the world, you know, with a rogue deck, and they could win.
Yeah.
And it would be really unfortunate if we were like, oh, no, got to ban that, got to limit this.
Did that not happen with MVP? No comment?
No comment. I no comment on MVP. No, just kidding. So MVP was interesting. There was a lot of...
Can they unerrata it is the question.
I mean, they could, but I don't think Invoker's very good right now.
That's what I mean. Like, give them a chance. There's so many dedicated players.
All your opponent has to do is go Gogeta 8, and good luck with playing all your extra cards.
Yeah, there you go. It's off the table.
Yeah, there was a lot of internal debate with the conversations on Privy too about that card, even on release. So maybe one day when I write a book, I'll tell all. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
All right, and then I didn't really have any other cards that I personally thought should have been touched. Maybe. Well, you've already kind of explained why blue hasn't been touched too much, but I was going to say the Turning the Tide card potentially, maybe just for the uninteractivity and the fact that people can get 7 energy by turn 3 now.
I think that Turning the Tide is probably closer to getting hit than Vegeta, just because, again, the uninteractive nature of it.
It's got deflect as well, yeah. So
it's more of a generally unfun type of effect as opposed to a really powerful effect.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's definitely it. I mean, they banned decks in the past. Think Cell for the lack of fun factor, I believe. So maybe that, you know.
So again, I think
there's nothing worse than playing a long game against a blue player, grinding it out, for them just to ditch that down and be like, well, that was not worth my time, you know.
I think that if we start seeing more of that dominate, I think it would probably be a very quick life for that card.
Right, there you go. All you blue haters, start playing blue and win with it, and then it'll
there
be
you
gone.
Go. So I think that will definitely. I would say that personally, it's on my watch list. As far as cards to keep an eye on, it just hasn't been prevalent enough. It's obnoxious. I get it. And, people don't like going up against it, but at the end of the day, it just hasn't been that prevalent. I mean, I can tell you I don't think I've ever had it played against me at any local side event, TCG Con, anything like that I've been at.
Fair enough. I've felt the pain quite a lot of times, but it is what it is. But yeah, all right. So we're running out of time here. So just a quick few updates on competitive play, guys, regarding these bans and erratas. Competitive play in the US this weekend. There is a regional. Will it be live for this weekend?
There's competitive play anywhere in the world this weekend. The list is not live. Bandai made an update this morning, Eastern time, that said today, tomorrow, Sunday, not in effect. It is effect worldwide outside of those events. So if you're going all locals tonight, it should be in effect at your locals. If you're playing in an unofficial event as well, cash tournament, anything like that should be taken into effect. And then the other update is that previously Bandai had said that this list would not be effective for EU finals.
This is the scoop, guys. This is the scoop.
It will be.
It will be. Wow.
The prior post that said it was not has been edited, and there will be additional clarification coming from Bandai early next week.
You heard it here first, guys. So the ban list will be active for Europe. That does include all regions as well: Italy, France, and obviously the English-speaking part, which I'm going to be attending myself. So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And now,
lots of changes today.
Now I know exactly which deck I'm going to play. We've already discussed it during this video, so very excited. But one thing to clarify is that I'm assuming the set 2 won't be legal for Europe.
No,
because it's coming out the day before, I believe. So
yeah, unless it somehow materializes a week early, I don't think that's going to change. Bummer, yes, but fair.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much for clarifying all this for us, David. We really appreciate your time. The whole community does. So it's awesome.
No problem. Glad I could make some time today.
All right, yeah. So we're pretty much there with the video now. We've run out of time. So massive thank you, David, and thank you for all the communication you have with Bandai to get the clarification for the European players. I'm gonna start spreading the word. I'll get this video out immediately. So yeah, have you got any final thoughts before we leave?
No. Good luck to everyone out there in their respective Zenkai Cups and national championships, region championships, whatever you want to call it. And hope everyone has fun with Fighter's Ambition when it drops. Still two more reveals. Don't sleep on Facebook.
Two more big reveals as well, I'd imagine.
We still have this afternoon, we'll have the tournament pack winners. Probably will be revealed by the time this video hits the streets.
I guess in about an hour from now. So
yep. Then we've got the SCRs this weekend. So everyone stay glued to
Very
your,
nice. All right. So yeah, thanks again, David. And it's been a real pleasure. And I look forward to maybe we can do a video around Nats time to get some hype going for Nats. So thanks again for joining us on here on Deck Planet. And yeah, we'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.